cheaper you want, you might have to go to different places. But for me, what it does is that the basics of economics of doing business would come into those. So petrol stations will think, oh, we just wait, government will give us, we'll collect subsidy, is going to come to an end. You now have to work on the dynamics of your costing. And petrol is not going to sell at the same price in Lagos as we sell in Ibadan, because there are cost of transportation, there are cost of other things and logistics into it. And for me, that's how it should be. That's how you determine what prices should be. The forces of demand and supply. And at the end of the day, I just think it was long overdue. Where in between 2015 and 2022, we spent about $7 to $10 billion on subsidy payments. We spent about 12 trillion naira on oil and gas alone in terms of subsidy, which took about 50% of that, in terms of maintenance of the refinery, which is not producing anything, in terms of the investment in Dangote's refinery. So when you put all that together, about 26.1 billion was spent in the oil and gas sector by the last administration, and the cost was just too much. That 26.1 billion could have been used to build a completely new refinery like Dangote did. But the other thing for me is that I think you would start to attract the kind of investments that you require. We have one, Dangote's refinery is completed. I know that there's another refinery being built somewhere in the south, and those who are interested in putting investments into refining, into logistics management, will start to look at that. The other thing for me will be how NNPC, or is it NNPC PL? What do you call them? NNPC Limited. Yeah. How they will now start to work with the private sector and investors to look at the pipeline networks in Nigeria and how they can revamp those things so that we can actually reduce the cost of fuel across Nigeria. And looking at that, for me, the oil and gas sector is going to become very interesting now, because we would see the money chasing it. We also know that there's the energy transition agenda, which would help improve investment in gas and a number of those things. So are we ready? Are investors ready to carry their briefcases? And are Nigerian companies ready to partner with them to do the right thing? I do think so. But the era of waste in the oil and gas sector is finally gone for me.
So, with the subsidy, there is some provision up until the end of June. So, when do you think we'd start to see this increase? Would it be after June, or in typical Nigerian fashion right now?
I do think that the president announcing yesterday, after the inauguration ball, he probably won't have enough sleep. So he'll be meeting with those in the oil and gas sector to start to look at the modalities of pricing. But if they provided for it till the end of June, I do believe he will take it to the end of June. And the policy on how the deregulation will work will effectively commence from June, because he still has to sign it into action. So it just said it, but that's the reality. There's a provision till the end of June. Looking at the next story, you hear the NNPC chief executive saying that there's a provision till the end of June. So they are going to. So people shouldn't panic buy. Petrol stations should sell what they have. Um, the companies that own them are not sleeping now, because they now have to go and work out the details of the modalities. We know NNPC is the only person that brings in fuel now. How do you quickly do that? It's not an overnight thing. But because NNPC also works with partners who help them in bringing in this fuel, then it might be much easier. How much do I see petrol? Some people say 500 naira, some people say 600 naira. Maybe all in all across Nigeria, it might get up to that, but I don't think it should be up to 500 naira in Lagos. That's my own personal opinion, and based on my own knowledge of the industry, I don't think it should be up to 500 naira. Like I said the last time, I did expect that when the president becomes president, the next 4 months till the end of the third quarter, we'll need to brace up and tighten our belts, and let's see how the policies that he wants to put in place are going to start to take effect properly in Nigeria. These are challenging times, and challenging times require that we will face some difficulties in the short run for us to get better in the long run. That's my opinion.
Lakunle, do you want to add?
Well, just quickly that to say again that okay, so it's gone. I like I've always said that I don't pity who was going to be an president from yesterday because of what we have projected ahead, and for the fact that President Tinubu was bold enough to make that pronouncement alone, I want to be open minded about what he's going to put on the table. Then the other part of it then is that okay, so he's going to go. What are those things that are going to be put in place to help cushion the immediate effect of this change in price? Because we know that that's the major driver of what happens to everything else in this country. What are it will be nice for us to hear them and possibly see them before the end of June, so that people can at least be comfortable. Okay, so we're taking away this thing because of the greed of a few, and then we're replacing it with this so that other people can benefit across board. It will be nice to see that before the end of this week.
Well, I'm not sure you're going to see that before the end of this week, but I do believe that you will see it before the end of June, and the reason being that you know what the last administration had said. There's a potential loan that is available, whether it's a loan or a grant. So what the president needs to do now is sit down and say, okay, do we want
What
to?
do I do with it?
What do I do with it?
All right.
And I know a number of people were complaining the last time where I said, oh, maybe the former president is setting the grounds for having that immediate liquidity for the incoming president to be able to do some things. And this is where we would now start to see, what do you want to do with it? Are you going to follow on from the policy before now? In my mind, I don't think he would do that. Um, Maybe he would give you a plan that would quickly help improve some of the things relating to logistics, like yesterday. Um, but all in all, I have always been a proponent of subsidy should go. It should have gone in 2011, but now that it's gone, this is better late than never.
All right. So from Punch, the NMPCL is, of course, backing the removal of fuel subsidies, and they're urging Nigerians to stay calm and not to panic buy fuel.
And I totally agree with them. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure there's any petrol station or any petrol company that is going to sell, except they decide to create a monopolistic system whereby everybody wants to sell at the same price. Because the business is this: if you have where you can get it and you can bring it in cheaper, I want to make money. So I'm not going to sit down. And what you would start to see is more dynamics in what you call price wars. So you could have 5 petrol stations on one road, and the difference is 50 kobo or 1 naira, and that's a huge difference. When you consider the fact like salaries are not going up. So let's first and foremost let the petrol station sell at the price that it is. I know a petrol station that has been selling for 230 naira since the scarcity, and he has not changed his price.
Wow.
And people go there to buy.
And people go there to buy. So it's about convenience also. I know at least 2 or 3. They are within the hearts of town. So it's not like so whether there's scarcity, there's no scarcity. I guess that petrol station had been preparing its mind for this. But at the end of the day, I do think this is the best thing to happen to Nigeria. It's been how many years? 45 years that we've been going through this, and it has just been ballooning and ballooning and ballooning. I see opportunities for investment in the Nigerian pipeline system, improvement, upgrades of the system. This system cuts across the whole country. It connects to all the refineries. Excuse me. And this is an opportunity for whether it's foreign or local investors to put money into the oil and gas that is required to create one. employment, which people think. So everybody just thinks it's petrol. There's petrochemicals. It's plastics that can come out from refining. A number of things that we import today. We have the opportunities to go into them and go back to a Nigeria that is manufacturing things rather than a Nigeria that is consuming things.
All right, let's go on to our messages. Alex says, the president said it is gone, which to me is too hasty because right now there are no cabinets or assistants to engage stakeholders on any negotiations. Now the fuel stations have shut down because aside selling what they have, how much will their next stop be purchased? If you have up till the end of June to handle this, why the rush on inauguration day? Tolu Ehis says the president's announcement on subsidy removal was too hasty. He should have consulted widely with stakeholders before the pronouncement. It is a sensitive matter. And Dami says, I'm going to come to that shortly. All right, this is Zehi. Zehi says, we continue to believe the same tales being spun by politicians. A pronouncement without an actual plan wouldn't make Phil magically disappear. And Adebola says, welcome to a new dispensation, Nigeria. Praying that Asiwaju succeeds because otherwise is not an option. I also wish people would stop speaking with so much negatives over Nigeria. It's disheartening for a country that is so religious. Lastly, if will Emefiele be replaced? Hopefully that will be done this week. All right, you're listening to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. Stay with us. The show continues. Sorry.
The floor is on for the next 10-15 minutes until we get to my story.
50 minutes, the show will be over.
Exactly. I think he wants to cough.
Stay tuned to Smooth 98.1. Omo, Nigeria.
Oh.
Sometimes you go just think you won't get headache.
Like,
see, people that were abusing Buhari that didn't remove subsidy. See, they're now saying it's too hasty now.
The truth is, it's such a sensitive thing to do because it's like damned if you do, damned if you do.
There's never a time you're going to do it that people are not going to complain anyway. So just do it. We all agree that it is one of the that is killing us. If you know what is killing you,
address it.
Exactly.
It's true though. Okay, I think we'll start with number 5.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
May 28. Can you imagine?
This is Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. We're looking at the news stories making the headlines across the country. Let us know what your thoughts are. 0809 440 981. That is the WhatsApp number. You can also tweet at Smooth981 or catch the live stream and post underneath the live stream as well. It's up on YouTube. Just search for Smooth981 and you can catch that live stream. From The Nation, angry youth yesterday set ablaze a police station located at Olaiwola Close, Oregon, over the alleged killing of a 23-year-old by a police officer. Now, this arson occurred at about 3 a.m. while the police officer, who has been identified, had allegedly killed the young man at about 12 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Okay, so when I saw this story, it was with some form of mixed feelings. The usual things we speak about every time. When you look at it from the perspective of the police, from the perspective of the people, and then you try to strike a balance. The most important thing is that, again, we ask ourselves, what is the value of the life of a Nigerian in the eyes of another Nigerian? Let's remove police, whatever. Even the police themselves say to themselves that it's better to allow a guilty person escape than to kill an innocent person. They say that to themselves. right? I've had it severally from senior police officers saying it to their men. So if you say that to yourself, why is it that the first thing to do when there is any form of dissent or whatever with a civilian is shoot? Again, another thing, this idea that our policemen carry assault rifles all over the place. You see them everywhere in bathroom slippers, in mufti, on Okada, going on Third Mainland Bridge, everywhere carrying assault rifles on their person. There are many things that could happen if the bus Okada enters a pothole and the thing accidentally goes off. So many things can go wrong. Now here we are. This police officer is, according to this report, went to an area at 12 midnight and shot somebody, and then people out of anger, emotions, are now gone to burn a police station. Again, well, it's difficult to say you can't blame them. It's difficult to say you can't blame both parties, because why should you shoot in the first instance? According to this report, there was no altercation, there was nothing. So the man just decided to shoot. What was the state of mind of the police officer at that time? Can the police tell us the average state of mind of their men on an average day before they hand them these rifles that they carry around? Okay, so does it mean then that this profiling that we all do, most of us do, we are mostly guilty of, because you see somebody wearing a man who has dreadlocks or who has tattoo on his body, this profiling that we all do, where did we arrive at this? That so if I'm wearing um, 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 dreadlocks on my head, it must mean that I am a criminal, right? Where did it start from? So those are things that we need to consider. It's unfortunate that this has happened. We have lost possibly an innocent person. We have lost a police station. There's a policeman that is injured that they don't know. They have refused to disclose whether he's alive or he's responding to treatment. The cost of rebuilding that police station, the cost to the parents, now you have thrown a family into mourning. I think that we should be more circumspect about these things. The police authorities should call their men to order. Every day these things happen, then the commissioner will, pocket in hand, tails tongue in cheek, go and say they're going to visit the family. When you can prevent those things from happening, then what is the punishment for your men who do these things when these things happen? Who is going to be held responsible? What are the accountables that are there for people to so, and these were the things that led to what happened in 2020, I think, that we had this NSAS thing. The impunity with which these things happen, the frequency with which it happens, it's there, it's out there. We need to put an end to it. We need to find a better way to policing. It's not every time there's an argument you raise your gun and shoot. And how about walking away as a policeman? How about walking away? Must you aside up? So it's so sometimes so annoying and as sad as it is, that you can begin to ask ourselves these same questions. What is that value that every Nigerian attaches to the other Nigerian's life, that is so easy to just raise a gun and shoot somebody? I hope that the police authorities will make this a very big case of such that somebody has to be punished for this, that they don't get the person involved, whoever it is, if found guilty, should not get away with this, to make a big statement. My heart goes out to the family of the deceased. And another thing then, finally, to say that people should learn to exercise patience in things like this. Yes, emotions go run high, yes, but burning the police station isn't a right response to the killing of the young man. We need to be circumspect about some of the things we do.
All right, let's go on to WhatsApp. JP says, sadly, Lakunle, the police statement doesn't permit down from the officers. You hear a lot of, I will waste you and nothing will happen. It's really sad. And on Phil subsidies, JP says, post subsidy, and by the way, BAT has set the ball in motion. Prices will hit 350 levels. The FCCPC must step in, as old stock should be sold without gouging until the next set of imports come in. And by the way, the pipelines are being privatized by the NNPC. This message from PJ says, I think the announcement was hasty because it should have matched it with announcing what processes his administration will put in place to address the immediate fallouts. I'm sure the handlers will begin managing the outcry, which should have been considered first. There's a difference between policy and process. All right.
Can I quickly respond to that? We want to give the president the benefit of the doubt that he's had about 2 months between he's been announced as the winner of the elections and being sworn in. And we want to say that he wasn't sleeping all those times. He said it in his campaign that this was going to happen. So we want to assume the benefit of the doubt that he has a clear plan of what he's going to do. That's why earlier I said maybe before the end of this week or early next week, we will see what those plans are. Those plans couldn't be what he will be reading at the inauguration. So let's be open-minded about it. Let's give this week, next week, and we'll see where we are headed.
All right. Sunji says the sad thing about the removal of subsidy is it's about 11 years too late. The billions of dollars spent in those years have been wasted. And let's see, this one is from Abbas. Just an announcement of subsidy removal by the president, and we have created scarcity and our prices have gone up. That's how patriotic we are. Interesting. From Daily Trust, the now former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has stated that his administration has left behind financial liabilities to the tune of about $577 million foreign debt, 64.5 billion naira domestic debt, and contingent liabilities of 16.6 billion. The new governor of Kaduna State is Uba Sani.
Well, for me, this is good news. At least he's told the man who is coming in what he's going to meet on ground, and he also made the statement that they have at least 5 billion in the treasury single account. That's after all the deductions for May. So the question now is, where does the next governor go from here? He needs to sit down, and I'm sure they've been doing that through the transition period, to better understand what these contingent liabilities are, what projects have been utilized, and how much revenue should be coming in from those projects. So sometimes, like I always say, when you see a headline, the first thing you want to do is criticize it, but it's always important for you to not just read the story, but also look at the implications of some of the things that have been done. In his statement, he also made mention of the fact that the capital projects and the projects that have been done in Kaduna have attracted over $5 billion, both local and foreign investors. And this, for me, is where we should be going. You should be able to tell the person who is coming in what was done, what is on ground, how much is being owed, so that the person already has an idea based on what he or she is thinking on how to go forward and what are the things that I need to do. Are there things that I quickly need to speak with those who were owing on how we want to, whether we want to restructure our debt portfolio, how much revenues are we generating? And while I was going through this story, I looked at, before we came on, I quickly looked at how much Kaduna State was generating in Nigeria, and it's really gone up over the last 8 years. And to be honest, if that is what is going on, then there are huge opportunities for the incoming governor to improve on what El-Rufai has set in place and left on ground, rather than just being critical. Everybody, the first thing you come is, when people see this, the next thing they will say is, oh, he left an empty treasury. And let's be factual. When you invest in projects, they are not short-term monies coming in. So if he's cleared out all the short-term liabilities, salaries, dues to local governments, and so on and so forth, then you do have some, and you still have some money in the bank to at least execute the first month of you being in. Then you must make sure that the apparatuses that help you bring in those internally generated revenues are working efficiently, and then you start looking at ways to improve them to increase those things. So kudos to Rufai. Even
It's quite interesting. It does seem like Kaduna State has been very open with data, whether it's finance or security. It would be nice to see perhaps more states actually take that approach as well. Let's go into WhatsApp. Ade says, what happened to the policeman who shot the lawyer in December? I believe that case is still in court. Daisy says, our policemen rule without impunity. The average Nigerian life is cheap. A policeman once threatened to shoot me when I refused to move out of his way, and SARS didn't solve anything. Yinka says the best time to announce it was yesterday, subsidy removal. However, he only told us what he saw in the budget. Since GEJ tried to remove it, are we not meant to know at what point it will go? So what's the diplomacy we're looking for? We can't kick the can down the road. My own is they should ensure availability of products at whatever price. We've got about a minute 30 seconds to go from Vanguard. Now 28 governors have been sworn in, 18 first-term governors and 10 returning chief executives, promising a rapid development of their states.
Congratulations to all the 18 new governors who are coming in. I wished that the governors that were leaving actually published the state of affairs of the states they were leaving behind, just like El-Fai had done. It would have been nice to see what these governors what they are inheriting, and something to measure them against. In the next 1 week, we'll soon be hearing empty treasury here and there. We'll soon be hearing this cancelled, that cancelled. We'll soon be hearing this one reversed, and all that, right? There's a governor who promised us happy hour every Friday. We look forward to see how
yes, we're going to acquire them every Friday.
I'm looking forward to. I'm taking particular interest in a few of them. The governor of Delta State, the governor of Enugu State, the governor of Abia State, and the governor of Kano. Not necessarily for any other thing, but they're interesting that he's a lone ranger in the scheme of things in that area for the first time. Kano is going to be governed by a non-mainstream political party, right? So all those 4 states, I'm taking particular interest in them. We'll monitor how it goes. For the 10 returning ones, I hope that they will build on what they did in the last 4 years, or start to do things if they've not done anything in those 4 years, and that they would leave their states in a better way. Again, reminder to us, the people, these are the people who have the most impact on our lives, judging that our local governments are non-functional. The governors are the ones who have the most impact on our lives. Let us ask them questions. Let us follow the money. The federal government is far away from us. The most important things that impact our lives, the taxes we talk about, the rates we talk about, the last mile that holds us on the road, the bad roads, the potholes that we enter, all of these things are things that the governors in our states have power over, right? Let us monitor them. Let us follow the money. Let us ask them questions. Let us know who our House of Assembly members are. And if we're able to do that, dealing with the federal government will be a piece of cake.
All right, well,
totally agree with Lakunle.
Okay, well, special thanks to our analysts, Lakunle and Uade, for joining us this morning. Thank you for listening. Thanks for your messages. That's all the time that we have for Freshly Pressed. Do stay with us. There's a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast.